Alrighty guys, the wiring is done. This video is going to be a little bit time-lapse intensive, but we got it all together. I'm going to show you through it, kind of explain what I did. It took probably 15 to 16 hours of work. I don't know why. The iPhone makes all of the time lapses between 20 and 30 seconds, so of course it's not going to be a super long video, which is fine. But honestly, really happy with it. I mean, I just used electrical tape for most of it. It could be prettier, but for my first time, I learned a lot and I really enjoyed it. So I definitely recommend. This kit is so inclusive. Everything's laid out. You get the wire extensions to the perfect length, and they just make it so easy with their videos. So I'm gonna flip this camera around and give you a little walkthrough of what's going on here. Alrighty, let's get into a little explaining about this wiring. As I said, wasn't too hard. I got the extra wiring kit, which had labels. It had the perfect length extensions for the wires that need to be extended. It came with solder, heat shrink, tons of electrical tape. It really was great. And as you can see, it came out pretty good compared to the old wiring. I really should have taken a video before, but as I said, I get carried away a little easy, and don't mind the messy basement. I had to move part of the couch to be able to fit this table in here. So first of all, to start the process, got the plywood out, 4x8 sheet, and then we did a couple markings, put a board on here to get the right lengths, marked up our lengths for our dash harness, and I'll explain all that as we go. So let's do the first thing, start with our tools. So most importantly, you could probably get away without using a lot of these tools. I just wanted to be safe and do it my own way. So the drill, of course, to mount the box and stuff to the table. Got our soldering iron, most important tool in here, so make sure you have a nice soldering iron. This one I got years ago for some computer stuff I was doing, making custom cables for my computer. It's really great. It has the easy cleaning. They sent solder with the kit. This stuff is really good, actually. I was surprised. I didn't use any of the rosin paste. I didn't find that I needed it. We have a circuit tester, check for continuity, just a touch light. Pliers, didn't need them too much, mostly use these wire cutters here. Heat shrink, got our clips for soldering, they were quite useful. I used my multimeter to check for continuity. Every single wire I checked was good. Everything under the tape within the car looked good. The tape just looked awful. I have the remote because I had the videos playing up on the TV, of course. Got multiple wire strippers and crimpers. I didn't really use this one. I got this one at AutoZone. It's the one where you kind of pinch the wire and it's supposed to strip it itself. Doesn't work too great. I might be using it wrong, but if you ever look at them, they're a tempting buy. They really don't work that well. Got our crimper for our terminals, which we only used one terminal, I'm pretty sure, to crimp, which was for the radiator fan, which I'll show you. I mostly use these guys. These little strippers here worked wonders. Got our heat shrink. We have spare nuts and bolts from the Cobalt, a lighter for the heat shrink, some tape measure, and that's about all you really need. You could probably get away with using half of these tools, using just a knife to strip them and cut them. Just a simple propane or simple electric soldering iron. You don't need the fancy one. So let's go back, check out our fuse box. I don't know if I've explained it in another video, but my Cobalt actually had a no start issue. The theft light would turn on, nothing else would start up, so I wasn't sure what was going on. I never actually got the Cobalt to start before starting this project with the Goblin, but I figured I'm redoing the wiring anyway, so might as well just go for it. But the wiring, after being fixed, still had an issue. Turns out that this guy right here, relay in the front right, is the start/crank relay, which turns this guy, the ECM, on. The pins in here, the signal pins, were bent, so I actually pulled this fuse box apart after ordering a new one, which isn't in yet. I bent the pins back together, works perfectly, no issues. So let's go through our fuse box. We pulled all these plugs out from underneath and cut everything we don't need short. So let's follow some of the stuff. Of course, we got our red here for our power steering into the fuse box. It branches off to the left. We've got a connection for like auxiliary. This is just a leftover wire for right now. Got a bunch of wires for turn signals, tail lights, everything think of to make it street legal. This is our connector that I said we crimped for the radiator fan. And then finally, I believe this one is to the engine harness. Got another purple one for auxiliary power for if we want to run a radio. Another connector up here, and then a bunch of sensors and grounds. That's everything at the fuse box. It's all real simple. Plugs all right here. The more complicated part is if we follow all the way down here with our big stretch of wires to our BCM body control module. You can see we cut a bunch of wires out of the top red plug here, and then we split a few different ways, which is where these marks on the table come into play. So this split right here, we put it right on this mark, and then we measured to each of these marks going along. So clutch, brake, EPS, power steering, cluster, and the turn signals. And that's down this line. So as we can see, we have our first connectors that branch off. They branch about 8 inches off to our accelerator pedal. And this one actually goes to our coolant reservoir to measure the levels. We've got our grounds, and then we've got our brake pedal connectors, our clutch pedal connectors for sensing them. Got some more auxiliary power if we want to use it. This is used in different Goblin models. I have a supercharged, so we don't use like the turbo and sensor and stuff. Got our OBD2 to make sure it's street legal. We have our power steering connectors a little bit further down. We're keeping the daylight sensor so that the dimming of the dash still works. Going on to our cluster connector along with some more, this is for a button panel because we got rid of the steering wheel. We're gonna have a racing steering wheel. It'll have a panel of buttons around it, and then these other wires coming off are orange, purple, green, and black. Those go to each of the turn signals that will be on the mirrors. Finally, we got our turn signal stock connectors, which work great. I tested those on the cluster. And then everything else terminates down into the ignition. So that's essentially it. It got rid of most of the systems, got rid of the AC connections, got rid of the radio connections. It's really crazy how we took 2 harnesses with a ton of wires in them, made it into one single harness, got rid of any faulty clips or connectors that would have caused an issue later on, and just made this one big thing. Maybe I'll get a different color tape, wrap it around like a candy cane, stripe it or something. And then our final connector coming off the table here, let's wrap it around the BCM. This little guy was the last thing we did in our wiring adventure. So we've got our big 50 amp fuse, very important for the Cobalt, which also goes to our horn connector, need that for DOT. Got our other EPS for the big power with this big thick red wire. And then all these other wires go to different things like our radiator fan, once again, our heat exchanger fan, and then turn signals, headlights, and other miscellaneous stuff that we'll be running. But once again, as I can say, I'm super impressed with how well thought out this was by the guys at Doyle Fab down in Texas. They really put a lot of work into it, and I'm actually going to leave a link in the description as always with my Goblin build. Make sure they get the recognition they deserve, because the price they charge for this kit is way too low for the amount of work they put in and how well done it is. So that's the wiring. I'm actually going to show you how much I cut out here. I'm going to go get the scale upstairs. But this is insane how much wiring we actually cut out of this. It's I don't know, it's got to be at least, I'm not even going to say a number. I'll go get the scale and we'll see how heavy it is. I'll be right back. Alrighty, we got our scale out from the bathroom. Don't tell a girlfriend, she probably wouldn't be too happy. But we have taken a total of about 12, oh, well, shut off. It said 11.8 pounds, so 12 pounds of wiring was taken out of this. And none of this is super heavy, so it's quite impressive how much was actually taken out of this harness, as I keep saying. Right, Benji? Alrighty, so that'll be our wiring video. Sorry it was so time-lapse heavy. There was just so much involved with the wiring that I just wanted to get it all done. I didn't want to explain it. If you want to see the videos, I will link to the playlist where they do their whole wiring diagram and show you how to do it step by step, which is exactly what I followed. It's really great. I definitely recommend. So thank you guys for watching. I got the wiring harness done today so that I could start plumbing and getting all the wires running through my Goblin. Do something today, make tomorrow better. I'll see you in the next one.